This is Neil Ratner Rock Talk here on WDST Radio Woodstock with another episode of This Week in Rock with support from Transcend Dental and my friend, the amazing dentist and rock star Bruce Milner. Visit Transcend Dental, his stunning new office at 2 Maverick Road on the corner of Maverick Road and Route 375. Paul Butterfield was born in Chicago on December 17, 1942. Aside from ranking among the most influential blues harp players of all time, the Butterfield Blues Band was a major catalyst in bringing the electric Chicago blues of Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Little Walter, and Willie Dixon to the Fillmore generation. Butterfield met musician Nick Gravenides, who shared an interest in authentic blues music, and by the late 1950s, Butterfield and Gravenides were regulars, and often the only whites, at blues clubs, where musicians such as Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf encouraged them. In the early 1960s, Butterfield met aspiring blues guitarist Elvin Bishop. Bassist Jerome Arnold and drummer Sam Lay from Howlin' Wolf's touring band were persuaded to join them, and with the addition of Mike Bloomfield on guitar and Mark Naftalin on keyboards, they became the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. Known for combining electric Chicago blues with rock, as well as their pioneering jazz fusion performances, the Butterfield Blues Band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2015. After the breakup of the group in 1971, Butterfield relocated here in Woodstock, where he formed a band called Paul Butterfield's Better Days. And as Nick Gravenides, Paul's wife Kathy, his son Lee, and Happy Traum relate, this was a very happy time for Paul.
Paul had an idyllic life in Bearsville in the early 70s. He was a successful performer, with a successful band, a successful record, and everything was looking up for him. He had a beautiful wife, Kathy, and they had a beautiful child, Lee, and he was another happy, bouncing, blonde baby boy. And he had Albert. He owned Bearsville. He found Paul this property. He had a beautiful barn, old red barn was painted beautifully, where I took those pictures of him mowing the lawn, big lawn. Took a lot of work. You know, this is the American dream. I've never seen him happier. The whole situation was very nice.
You know, when we lived in Woodstock, we had horses, we had dogs, we had cats, we had all this stuff. We had an organic farm, we had so many tomatoes, we'd stand at the back door and throw them out after I made ketchup and tomato sauce and everything else I could think of.
We had 11 and a half acres and a stream that ran through our property, you know, we had beautiful horses.
We had this raccoon. She used to lie on her back and Paul would scratch her tummy and play with her, and everything was like an art project.
You know, one of the best memories that I have of Paul is when he came to do a session with us at the Bearsville Studios when we put together this group called the Woodstock Mountains Review. And he came up, it was the middle of a snowstorm, and he walked in and he went into the studio at Bearsville with John Sebastian, and the two of them pulled out their harmonicas and they did the most beyond belief version of Amazing Grace with just the two of them as a harmonica duet.
Beginning in 1980, Butterfield underwent several surgical procedures to relieve his peritonitis, a serious and painful inflammation of the intestines. Although strongly opposed to heroin as a band leader, he developed an addiction to it, and sadly, at the age of 44, Butterfield died of an accidental overdose. Okay, let's listen. From their performance at Monterey in 1967, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band and Born in Chicago.